And then we will get started with our class. So I'm super happy to have the opportunity to present this to you guys live from my living room in our self-isolated spaces. I know I'm certainly missing my usual edge class routines and my time at the rink with my friends and all of those things. So it's wonderful on my personal aspect to connect with all of you and also to share a bit of the foundation of what we do with Ice Theater of New York in our edge classes with everyone off ice for a change. So one of the things I really want to try to emphasize in this class is we kind of have our big four most important foundational techniques that we take from the John Curry system of teaching edge class. And our first one is always starting with the plie. So our bend of our knees is the foundation of everything we need to do in skating. It is so important because without that knee bend, we don't have push, we don't have glide, we don't have momentum, we don't have stability on our feet. It is the single most important tool in our arsenal is to be able to bend. So that's the first thing I'm going to work on in this class. And once we establish our bend, then we're going to start focusing on things like our dynamic free leg, which is, deploying our whole leg through an extension, through the toe, pointing, turning out, making those lines beautiful, and then trying to also incorporate twisting through our body and using finally our arms and our eyes and our head to shape the space around us, which is the foundation of beautiful choreography on the ice and off. So that's what we're going to be working through in our class today. And we're going to do a bunch of exercises to try to emphasize each aspect of that and then kind of put them together so that as we go, we have each of those aspects of our skating foundation being worked on, and also we're trying to emphasize those skills so that when we get back on the ice, we're stronger. Okay, whoever's trying to screen share, please stop. I am turning you off. There we go. Okay, so you do not need to screen share with me. We want to keep it in my computer here, and we should be good to go. So I'm gonna have everyone start with your feet parallel. And our first thing we're going to do, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my knees, is we're going to try to be focusing on keeping our body very lifted from underneath. So we want to feel ourselves keep space pulling upward through the front of our abdomen and downward through our tailbone and bending over our feet. So when we're in skates, this allows us to rest the front of our shin on the tongue of our boot, which is a great place of stability. This is not. This is going to pitch you forward over your feet. So we want to try to keep that very upright line. And you can use objects in your home or when you get to a rink eventually, when we get back on the ice, use the panes in the glass around the perimeter or other objects around you to kind of mimic that line. So as I'm thinking about how I carry my body, I'm always thinking about like I'm almost standing with my back against a wall. And I want to keep this part of my spine in contact as much as I'm able. So we're going to start with just really simple in parallel position. We're going to bend and plie. I'm grabbing my phone. I like having a little bit of music because it totally is weird teaching into the void. And I think we've got a lot of people trying to still get into class here, so I would just let them in. So welcome if you're just joining us, but we're going to start with some very basic plies in parallel. So feet together. 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to plie and up, plie and up, plie, up. Up. Try to feel your knees tracking right over your toes as you bend. And now we're going to do the same thing in a first position for ballet. So what I want you to do, if you're not familiar with ballet first, is I do not want you to crank your legs out as far as possible. What I want you to do is rock back on your heels, turn your toes apart, put them down, make sure your heels are snuggled together. And that's as far as we're gonna go. We don't wanna be stepping out this way because that's gonna throw this alignment off. And what's most important in these positions is to keep your alignment. So if we're here, I wanna keep that nice spacing in my core that we just worked on. We're gonna go 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Up. And now we're going to take the arms up, up, up. Same thing, but turn your feet back to parallel. So really feel that strong line through your back. Each time you bring your arms overhead, make sure you're not shifting in your movement. I'm turning sideways to show you my back doesn't change no matter where the rest of me is going. So one of the things that I talked about and mentioned at the beginning of class was the idea of that twist between our rib and our hip. And this is the foundation of our stability as we travel around curves a lot in skating. So one of my absolute favorite ice theater class exercises is when we do alternating cross strokes and we hold the third one to travel in a circle, because it's a wonderful exercise in control and stability. And without having the proper alignment over your feet, with that twist through your ribs and your hips, you're not going to be able to sustain a circle. So we're going to add that now to our pliés. So we're going to start in parallel again. We're going to do one arm up, and then we're going to twist to the right side and to the left side. And I am mirroring you guys, so we'll go up, right, and left. And we're going to repeat that a few times, and then we'll do the same thing, which is a little more challenging with the turned out feet. So when your legs are turned out, you need to spend a little bit of extra attention on keeping everything in your hips very stable, so that as I'm twisting to the side, I'm not releasing this way, which is a challenge for a lot of people. So here we go. We're starting in parallel first. 5, 6, 7, 8. Up, to the right, to the left, center, to the right, to the left, center, to the right, to the left, one more center. And now we're going to move to our turned out position. So same thing, same foundation, be really aware of your line. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, up, to the right, to the left, center, right, left, center, right, left, center, and we finish our exercise. So for those of you who have done the ice theater class on ice, you know that we typically end these patterns by turning in a circle, looking at our left hand. But I've learned that that is very awkward on the floor, so I'm not doing it. But I want to now move on to another kind of basic body movement pattern. Again, we're emphasizing the concepts of that plie and the twist dynamically through your torso. So we frequently do side lunges as our next kind of exercise in class. And we do a specific pattern of arms here that we're going to replicate off the ice. So if I am starting with my left foot leading, I am going to go through what we call a vanilla position, together, vanilla position, together, and then we're going to do arm up, together, up, together, and then down, together, down, together. And what I'm trying to do on each of these is I want to feel that plie through what's my leading leg and a full extension through my foot, because I'm not trying to keep this on the ice with the bracket. I'm actually finding that it's much more comfortable to point my toe and try to feel that line channel the whole way through my leg. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. But the idea here is that you have that opposition between one leg that's bent and one leg that extends in each of these positions. And then we are twisting through that body towards your standing leg, your bent knee in our first vanilla positions. And then through to arm overhead. We curve it through, overhead, curve it through. And then as I go down, I'm trying to keep my back very strong as I reach through this position. And I let the back arm come over. So as I reach down, I'm trying to feel that nice strong line come over each time. Are we ready to try it? 5, 6, 7, 8. Vanilla to the left, together, to the right, together, up, together, up, together, down, together, down, together. Back to vanilla. Push through, together, push through, together, arms up, together, up, together, and down. Arm comes through, down, through. Vanilla one more time. Arm coming overhead. And down, through, down, through. And let's finish it there. Okay, so nice job, you guys. I'm able to see a little bit of some of you on the top of my screen, so it's kind of fun to watch. So we've really worked a lot on establishing our plie, but now I want to start addressing that dynamic free leg. So when people skate, obviously speed is a factor, and it's exciting to watch, but the beauty of skating comes from the alignment of positions, and I want to spend the majority of our class time really working on that, because I feel like it's a skill that off ice translates extremely well, and it's one of those aspects of skating where our work we do off ice makes a massive impact on what we can do on the ice later. And so this is something where for every single one of you in this time off the ice, you can actually work on something and return to skating much stronger, which is kind of our goal. So I want to talk about, in ballet, we talk about tendus, and I don't know what everyone's background is, but a tendu is where we are sliding our foot against the ground and we're trying to establish a nice pointed line. And I want you to be careful that you're not sickling your foot over or letting it kind of fall flat or putting weight on it. Our goal is to stay very anchored on our standing leg as we bring that extension through. So when I do a tendu, I'm not bending this leg that's moving at all, and I'm also not going to be bending my standing leg first, but we will get there. But to each position we're trying to feel that nice strong line and that point as hard as you can through your whole toe and foot, so that you're channeling energy down into the floor. And we're gonna go to the front and to the side and to the back. Even though in skating, most of our extensions are slightly diagonal behind us, and we very rarely use a side extension, it's still a good exercise to emphasize that position and learn our strength of movement through it. So that's what we're going for here. So what I'm gonna start with is having you guys really think about just in parallel position first. We're gonna tendu forward and close. We're gonna tendu back, and my foot is gonna turn out as I tendu back and close. And we're gonna do that several times on each foot. And then we're gonna take it to the turnout and also work that side extension, because this is not a line any of us are going for today. So let's get started on that. 5, 6, 7, 8. Tendu front, close, back, close, front, close, back, close, front, close, back, close. Give yourself a nice plie. We're going to reset and do the other side. So front, close, back, close, front, close, back, close, front, close, back, close. One more. Close and back, close, and finish with a nice parallel plie. All right, we're gonna move to our turned out. So what we're gonna do on this one is you're going to feel like your little toe is making contact with the floor for as long as you're carrying that leg through on your front position. On your side, it's gonna go through the center of your foot. Through the back, it'll go through your big toe. And we're gonna alternate which direction we're going each way. So as I do this, 6, we're gonna set up 7, 8. Tendu to the front, close, side, close, back, close, side, close. Switch feet. Front, close, side, close, back, close, and side, close. Back to our first foot. Front, close, side, close, back, close, side, close. And front, close, side, close, back, close, side, close. Give those straight knees a break with a nice plie. So in order to replicate what is most like a skating push, one of the things that's important to us to think about and consider and work on is that we, typically speaking, are going to have one leg that's bent and one leg that's straight in order to get our stroke and use the full extension of our leg against the ice to gain power as we move. So as I'm thinking about this, next time we're doing this, I'm going to be working from my parallel position first. We'll do that. If I'm thinking about how I deploy that, if I'm plieing and I'm sliding out, I'm going to actually turn out to the front, and I'm going to keep in my plie, come back in, and stand up. Then I'm going to plie to the back, turn out again as I extend, plie under, come up. So it'll be down, front, stay in, stand up, down to the back, pull it in, still bent, stand up. And we're gonna alternate feet just like we did on the last one, but we're gonna skip that side extension in parallel like we did before. So I am going to restart that song. 5, 6, 7, 8. We plie, extend front, pull in, stand up, plie to the back, pull in, stand up, plie, front, plie, up, plie to the back, pull in, stand up. Let's switch feet. Plie, front, pull in, stand up, plie to the back, plie, stand up, plie, front, plie, stand up, plie, back, plie, up, and let's finish. So now we're going to move on to doing the same thing from the side or from our turned out position, but we're going to also add in our side. So our plie will go here. We're focusing on that strong alignment. You're going to extend forward, pull in, stand up. We're going to do the same thing to the side now. So you're feeling your extension channel through the center of your foot. Pull back in, stand up, down to the back, pull in, up, and then because we've neglected it, one more time to the side, and we'll stand up and repeat. So I'll alternate feet, so we do each one twice. All right, resetting my music. 7, 8. Plie, extend front, plie under, up, down, extend side, under, up, plie to the back, under, up, plie, side, under, pull up. Let's switch feet, down, front, under, up, down to the side, under, up, down to the back, under, up, down to the side, under, back to our first foot. Plie, extend front, under, up, plie to the side, under, up, down to the back, under, up, down to the side, plie, up. Repeating the second leg again, front, under, up, plie to the side, under, up, plie, back, under, up. We have neighbors. To the side, pull, up. Nice job, you guys.
You go well, babe?
All right, Audrey, you're fine. My dog is barking at my neighbors. She's good at it. But anyway, all right, so that was great. So in ballet, the tendu is the foundation of the dégagé, which means to disengage. And that is the most similar thing to a lot of our extensions in skating because we don't typically drag our toe in front of us or behind us unless it's a choreographic thing. So, what we're gonna do on this one, we're gonna follow that same turned out exercise. I'm not actually gonna do this one in parallel because it feels weird. We're going to extend, we're gonna lift about 6 inches off the floor, touch our toe back down, keeping that same extension and pull under. We're gonna keep our knees straight on this one. for the time being, and then we will work on just doing this to the back, the most like our typical stroking. I'm also going to switch up the WC here. So what we're going to do is 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to extend front, lift up, down, together, to the side, lift up, down, together, to the back, extend up, down, together, side one more time, lift up, down, and switch sides. So front, lift up, down, close, side, lift up, point down, close, to the back, lift up, down, close, to the side, lift up, down, back to our first side. Front, lift up, down, close, side, lift up, down, close, to the back, lift up, down, and close, to the side, lift up, down. Our second side now to the front, lift up, down, close our first, to the side, lift up, come down, close, to the back, lift up, down, close, last one to the side, lift up, down, and finish. Okay, so now to translate that into our bend. So when we do a stroke, right, we have our initial plie, we have our extension for our strike of our push, we have the finish of the free leg off the ice, and then we have the lift and return back underneath us to start the next plie. And I like to emphasize to my skaters and in my own skating that when I'm at this extension back, I'm trying to carry this leg as long as I can by straightening my standing knee under me and then developing my bend into my next push. There is, you know, the basic technique of bringing it under bent, but if I'm looking for the most beautiful line and carriage I can manage as a skater, the longer time I spend in that extension, the more beautiful what I'm doing looks. And that contributes to that elegance and refinement in movement that we're trying to achieve through this class and in our own skating. So I want you to really think of, as you're doing this, once your leg is extended, you want to keep channeling that energy the whole way through your foot. Stand up, and at the last second, it's going to bend with your standing leg as we get ready to transfer our weight and take our next push. So I'm getting that lift, I'm reaching up and bending both. So I really want to have you guys pay close attention to your own movements in this way, so that as I'm trying to close that position, I'm getting that rise and fall that makes the lilt, that makes ice dancing so beautiful, and that actually contributes to greater speed and control in the ice, because when we're changing our leg and it's dynamic, it has more potential for energy than it does if we're static. And so that little rise and fall makes a huge difference in how much you get out of your stroke for the amount of work you're putting in. And personally, I am a big fan of the why work when you can be lazy concept of skating, meaning I don't want to exert extra energy, I don't have to, on something that in a basic movement can be done more efficiently. Mostly, you know, it's hard enough to do what we do. This is a full body challenging situation. So I don't want to be working extra hard to develop speed if I can get it more efficiently. And this is part of how we're going to work on that. So I am going to start with my right leg, and I'm going to turn sideways for this one because I think it makes it easier for you guys to see. And I'll fire my music back up. 7, 8. So I'm going to bend. I'm going to extend back. I'm going to lift. I'm going to come together and straighten my standing leg. Bend. Push back. Extend. Up. Bend. Extend back. Lift. Up. Together. Bend. Extend back. Lift. Up. Stand together. Bend. Extend back. Lift. Up. Through. Bend. Extend back. Lift. Up. Through. One more time. Bend. Extend back. Lift. Up. Rise. Bend. Extend back. Lift. Up. Rise. And we'll finish. Okay. Great, you guys, we made it through my first page of notes. I'm so happy. And I'm also roasting to death. The next thing I want to kind of get to here is trying to think about how we translate this tendu into our arabesque position. And there's two schools of thought, right? Like a lot of skaters currently are going for the highest possible extensions without much awareness to how it affects the upper body's line. So I don't want you guys to be thinking about cranking your leg up for height, because height doesn't equal extension. What gives us a good extension is that dynamic reach through the entire position where there's energy and length coming through the leg. And that doesn't have to be up here, it can be low, and it looks very elegant and efficient that way. And honestly, I see a lot of better positioning and control from skaters when their free leg is slightly lower, but it's deployed well. So that's what I'm going to be going for. Certainly, you know, you'll find kind of your comfort point. And the way that I've always thought of this, because my original background is ballet, is that when I'm thinking about my extension, I'm trying to follow that with the line of my arm. And I know that in skating, we're very much kind of belly button centric. So I'm going to keep you guys there on the first time we do this, but then I do want to do a few where we're finishing that line to adjust to the height of the leg. So if my leg is lower, my arm is going to be higher. And I'm going to try to always be maintaining that straight line through my position when I'm doing that. But for first things first, because we're talking about edges and control, and this is our off-base edge class, I really want to focus on keeping that pressed palm in front of my belly button and trying to keep, you know, a nice controlled position. So when I'm doing my arabesque, I'm making the assumption, in this case, first, that I'm going to be on an inside edge. And when I'm doing an inside edge, I want to have my free side in front, and we're going to be balancing here. And I want to feel a nice pressure through this palm and a nice extension through my fingers and my foot. I don't want this leg to be over here because that's not a good line. We want to try to keep it under your hip joint and slightly behind you diagonally, which would be our finish from an actual stroke, right? And I'm going to have you guys work on this on a straight leg. So what we're doing here, we're going to start in our first position. I'm turning slightly sideways because it's easier to see what I'm doing that way. I'm going to be doing my plie. I'm going to be setting the line of my arms first. I'm going to reach back. I'm going to lift. And then I'm going to stand up, and we're just going to balance here. And I am going to annoyingly count to a very slow 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And collapse into a heap. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So again, I'm in my first position. I'm focused on my plie first. I'm gonna set my arms so that if I'm stepping onto my right foot, my left arm is going to be in front. And I wanna try to keep that on the level sphere with my belly button. I'm gonna extend back. I'm gonna lift up, and I'm gonna stand and balance here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we're making the assumption that that's on an inside edge, what happens when we do it on an outside edge? So I mentioned earlier that one of my favorite patterns we do in class on a regular basis is when we cross stroke and we hold around a circle on an outside edge. And in the case of doing an outside edge, we're gonna want that standing arm in front, not the free arm, so that we're not twisting into our circle like we're setting up a spin, but we're standing with our body against it so that we're strong to check that position. So when I'm doing that, I'm always trying to feel like my shoulder blades are pulling down and back. I'm lifting through my abdomen. I'm keeping my hips under me. And I'm trying to establish that line from my foot and through the ground the whole way up through the top of my head so that I know everything is as close to me as possible with still keeping that line and extension. I know that I'm rooted in the movement of my blade, and I know that when I'm standing on that edge, it has integrity. That's always our goal. So, if you're not on mute, please mute yourselves.
He's in a meeting.
And so we're going to now do this thinking of our outside edge. So if I think of my plie, and I think of now setting my left arm in front, in this case, I'm going to extend back, and then I'm going to lift up, and I want to feel that nice press and that strong line. And we're going to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plie under yourself. And let's do the same thing to the other side. So in this case, I'm going to go on my right foot. I'm going to lift up. I'm going to have my right arm in front. I'm going to extend back, lift, stand up, and hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and finish. So I want to add a layer of challenge to this because I know that I'm missing speed in a lot of these exercises. So what I want to have you guys try to do is we're going to actually try to walk ourselves in a circle without putting our free leg down. So how this is going to work, and use caution, if you need to be near a surface you can kind of tap down on to keep yourself upright, that is totally fine. I am going to try to do it without, and I've already taught one class today, so my body is well and tired, but that's just fine. So if I'm thinking about, I'm going to have my foot parallel, I'm going to do my extension back, I'm going to do my same set, I'm going to lift up, and in this case I'm going to travel towards the outside, but I'm actually going to have my inside arm in front because I'm checking my circle on this one. I'm going to hold here, I'm going to lift my heel and try to do just a quarter turn and balance. And then I'm going to lift my heel, quarter turn and balance to the back. Lift my heel, quarter turn and balance to the side. Lift my heel, come back to the front, and finish. Then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side, and I got dangerously close to my couch there, so I'm going to do my extension back. I'm going to lift. I'm going to ever so slightly lift my heel. This time I'm turning the other way. So I'm holding my extension here to the side. I'm going to lift my heel, turn to the back. Lift my heel, turn to the side. Lift my heel, come back to the front, and finish. So if you are super bored on our non-rink time and you would like a super, intense challenge to, make yourself really work on something, try this in a full spiral. It's brutal. We are not going to do that in this class today. but I am going to encourage you to play with it if you feel comfortable with that as a position. It's a great challenge, and you can do it turning to the outside or to the inside, so it can be just as versatile as anything we do in skating in terms of directions. So now that we have that kind of idea in your head about spirals, I do want to talk about how an arabesque translates into a really good spiral. So when I think about the line of a spiral, and I think about the most beautiful spirals I've seen in skating, they're such projected positions. They really stretch out into space. And I've seen spirals that are great spirals that aren't necessarily the highest spirals. And I've seen spirals that are, you know, fully cranked up over the head, but the free leg is bent, or something about it is just a little wonky and it doesn't look as good. So again, I'm trying to always achieve the most integrity I can in my positions. So if I'm thinking about a spiral, I'm thinking about starting from this same arabesque that I've been establishing through this class with that great line and tension as I'm, you know, projecting my foot through space. And then I'm thinking about how I go into that position while maintaining that line. And as you can see, I am not Sasha Cohen with my foot way up there, but I'm never dropping the energy of the position. And for those of you who may be struggling to work on either having a better spiral or on getting a good camel spin, that tensioned position and that constant reach through the free leg is a huge piece of what keeps those positions together. So again, just like we talked about in stroking, anchoring through your standing foot and trying to channel energy up through your body, out through your head, this is part of how we shape space with our head and our arms and our eyes, is that lift into that position. So I'm gonna have you each just try a clean spiral. Like I said, we're not gonna rotate these. And again, I'm gonna stand sideways because it's much easier for me that way to demonstrate. I'm gonna have you bring your arms up. I want you to feel this lift through your abdominal space. We're gonna extend back, spiral over, and try to feel as much tension through that position as you can. And finish. Let's do the other side. I'm switching directions. So we lift up. Again, feel that strong pull line. Tendu back, get your extension, and now focus on keeping that leg long and reaching into space, no matter how high or not high it is. And through. Irina is calling me. All right, I don't know what's going on, but hello. Okay, so now I want to kind of deploy a couple more free leg things, and we're almost done with our class today. But I want to think about changing positions. So I'm an ice dance coach, and I was an ice dancer competitively, and one of our foundational skills is swing rolls. And you know, if you've done a pre-preliminary moves in the field or an adult pre-bronze moves, you know what I'm talking about as we do those consecutive edges, almost always changing that free leg position. So what I want to think about is I'm going to try to extend back. If I'm thinking about an outside swing roll, I'm going to be facing outside my circle, and I'm going to lift. And then this is where we're going to work on shaping that space. So I'm going to carry my front arm over and bring my leg through. And then I'm going to reset so that I can do it to the other side. So I'm going to extend back. I'm going to deploy my free leg. And I'm going to carry it through. And every time I bring my leg front, what I'm trying to do is feel that pull and lift through my body as strong as I can, so that I can, really emphasize the positioning, but also the pride in movement. Like, I am very proud to be a skater. I'm very proud that this is the work that I do. I'm very proud to do it with a company like Ice Theater. And I think you should all be taking pride in your movement as well, because it's something that you spend a lot of time on, it's something that's important to you, and it's something that you're so committed to that you're willing to do this off ice while we wait for our rinks to become available again through this crisis. So let's work on that just a couple times through. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start on my left leg. I'm going to start with my left arm in front, my right foot back. I'm gonna lift, and I'm gonna carry my extension through. And then I'm gonna reset, put my left leg back, stand on my right foot, lift up, carry through. Back to my left, extend back, lift, carry through, and to the right leg, down, extend back, lift, and carry through. So the last exercise I'm going to leave you with today is actually, we're going to directly translate a step that we commonly do in class. This is one of John Curry's patterns, and it's a Mohawk exercise. And I personally love being the person to teach a Mohawk to somebody. So you're going to have to bear with my desire to explain a Mohawk in great detail for a moment. But when I'm doing a Mohawk, and I'm going to do an inside open Mohawk, and there are many Mohawks to be done. I'm going to think about my initial push onto my foot, right? I'm going to be on a bent knee because I want to get speed. And I'm trying to carry the heel of my free leg into the arch of my standing leg. So that turnout is really important, as if there's tension going this way, but I'm trying to pull my foot against it. And I tend to sink a little bit more here. And then as I switch and extend, I'm releasing that knee. Then I'm going to rebend and step forward. And now we're going to start this process on the other side. So in this case, my left leg is going to step. My right leg is going to pull my tension in to my arch. I'm going to step up. I'm going to rebend both legs together, strike forward. So I'm going inside, in, up, come down, step, inside, pull in, come up, pull in again, and step. So we're going to try that along with music. So I believe we posted this on the Ice Theater Facebook page as an exercise before. We're going to do this to Les Patineurs, which is a piece that, if you translate that, means the skaters, which I believe is a perfect way to end our class today. So, here we go. Seven, and 1, 2, up, bend, forward, lift, bend, awesome. All right. You guys, thank you all so much for joining me today. It's been wonderful to be able to host this fantastic community of people who are still invested in their skating and interested in the work we're doing with Ice Theater. If you have time and you did not register for this meeting and you're joining us on Instagram Live, please follow our page, Ice Theater of New York, on Instagram, on Facebook. Visit our website, icetheater.org, and we'll be back next week to do this again at 1:30 on Tuesdays. So I hope you'll join us again. Thank you again so much,
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was great.
Thanks so much.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.